it comes to Gundam model kits with sheer awe-inspiring visuals, I don't think there's anything really out there that comes quite as close to this right here. This is the real grade Sazabi mechanical core plating. This has dialed the aesthetics all the way up to 11 and beyond. This is like nothing I have ever seen before, and I don't know if Bandai or any other model kit company has actually done something like this right here. Now this might look like a titanium coating or a clear kit, but that is the essence of this in general. It's not either one of those, it's both. And that makes it look absolutely astounding. And this may just be the most beautiful Gundam kit of all time. This is titanium coated on the inside. That means the clear is still on the outside. Sazabi has never looked like this before. Gunpla has never looked like this before. It is incredible. And if you're wondering where I got mine, this was a Gundam base exclusive. I grabbed it off Bai, so I'll throw a link down there in the description. So winding back a little bit in time to the unboxing, and even straight away you can see that this kit is going to be an event. I've never seen a box art quite like this before. It's in red with the nice titanium silver lines for the Sazabi itself with that embossed Sazabi mechanical core plating on the outside. You know you're going to be having an amazing time with this kit, just from the box. The usual images on the side are the usual images on the side, but this time, instead of just being in a flat red, we've got Sazabi in that ridiculous clear titanium. Unbusting the box open, this is the same as your standard real grade Sazabi kit. The only real difference is the color has been shifted on the vast majority of the runners. So of course the red has been changed, but some of the other colors have, and maybe not as much as I would have liked them to have been. So first up in here, of course, is the red, which is amazing. There are two shades. One is a pure red, the other one is a slightly orangey red. The slightly orangey red makes up the vast majority of the kit. Now this is amazing. It is, at its core, a clear red plastic like you'd see on clear variant kits. However, Bandai has painted the back with what seems to be a kind of candy coat. So I'm assuming they went in with a chrome followed by a nice metallic red. So that does mean on the front you've got that super candy coat look, and on the back you've got a regular candy coat, which does mean it looks great from both sides. So when it comes to the other colors of plastic in here, what would have been the gray of the inner frame and inner frame adjacent parts is now in a little bit of a gunmetal with some sparkly little bits in it, which is nice. Doesn't overshadow or distract away from the red. When it comes to the green effect parts in here, I think they're quite similar to what we would have seen before. If I'm not mistaken, they seem to be a little bit more opaque with that black light reactive shenanigans that Bandai tend to put in it. So it seems to be a little bit more of an opaque green. Lastly then, we do have the A runner, which is the multicolored runner in clear, black, and the gold. Now it's the gold in here that has disappointed me. Why go whole hog on all of the colors on this kit, which look really nice, and leave an injection gold? They should have really plated this. That would have really finished the kit off perfectly, because this gold right here, it's not really going to go too well with the beautiful red. A little bit of a letdown. It'll look good, but not good enough. So I just cut it off the runner and pretty much just sprayed gold on the runner. If you're wondering what I sprayed it with Citadel's Chaos Black as an undercoat and finished it off with a Tamiya gold on top. The Tamiya gold in question was a TS21 rattle can. Lastly in here, and maybe a bit of a disappointment as well, I feel it's a bit of a disappointment definitely, is the decals are just sticker style decals. Now, I would say water slides would definitely work a lot better on this sort of surface, because I did try these. Here's a little bit of a fast forward to what they look like on. They instantly opaque the clear surface of the nice right in here, which turns it looking, well, wrong is probably the best way to put it. They look like stickers on it, so sadly they don't really work. I'm not sure what to use instead of these though, so I can't really give a suggestion. Spoiler, I didn't use the feckin' things. But yeah, once you slap all of that plastic together, this is what you get. It is phenomenal. It catches the light like nothing else. I've built titanium kits, they look alright. I've built clear kits, again they look alright, but neither of those are for me. This absolutely godly combination of the two works just right. I don't think I'll ever see regular red plastic the same again. Anyway, as for the build. So first up in here we've got the legs, and as you can see, the way they've done this is just absolutely spectacular. You can kind of see through into the kind of inner detail that would have been just on the inside that, you know, you wouldn't really be seen most of the time, but now it's apparent in there. So that's something you would never get with just a standard titanium coating. And unlike a clear kit, well, it's not clear, so it does look nice and technical, and you're not seen into the kind of inside stuff. Overall, what Bandai did with the real grade was absolute magic. A nice bend of the knee, so parts move so nicely, including this little bit there of a kind of piston-esque part, and that just moves so well. On top of that, we also have this little bit of a thruster section, which is, I may not be actually too noticeable in the video, but this is a pure kind of red right here. Almost kind of dialed towards pink a little bit, and this is a little bit more orangey, but overall this is fantastic. This little section right here that moves out of the way of the foot entirely. We've got a little toe bend, as well as a small toe bend and a heel bend down here, and all of those thrusters. This kit always was poetry in motion, but what they've done with this new style of paint under clear is incredible. So when it does come to the build of the legs, this builds up so intricately. I actually kind of forgot just how nice of a kit this is internally. You build up the foot first, which has a whole ton of joints, hinge after hinge after hinge, just so detailed. We've got a couple of C-clip joints down in the actual foot for the toe bands. We have two actual points of articulation in the foot itself, some extra armor underneath, ankle armor there pops on the front and back, and I did use some of the real grade stickers in here. If you don't know about the kind of metallic silver kind of stickers that are in real grades, these seem like they did feature more in older ones than they do in modern ones, but they're just silver little stickers that pop on to give a little bit more extra dimension to the overall looks of the kit. They're mirror-like and catch the light nicely. From here you start slapping on the armor. This is that beautiful ruby titanium clear. It just pops onto the toes, the back of the heel. We've got that double layered front of the foot armor. This actually has the two shades of color on it, but it may not be that easy to see. And then we've got some armor either side of the foot, completing the foot. Overall, when it does come to the build of both legs, they're pretty much the same for the vast majority of the build, and then you just kind of change them down towards the lower leg for the thrusters. We've got an intricate knee section on the inside. You build up the rear thruster for the legs, which attaches into some armor. Next up, you build the 3-piece hip joint, which is your usual kind of gunpla hip joint, and then those elements that you did build start all coming together. The hip joint and the knee joint you built attach onto a upper leg portion, sandwiches together like so. The lower leg section, which has the thrusters, then attaches onto the lower part of the knee with some very nice moving sections inside of it for a sliding knee gimmick. That all sandwiches together. Now it's time for some armor. The thrusters that attach onto the side of the legs have multiple points of movement. The foot attaches on. The lower leg armor then attaches on sandwich style yet again. The knee armors up with a black kneecap, some red upper armor, and then the whole thing finishes off with a little bit of a panel that attaches onto the side thruster, which can move around, as well as a shin panel as well, which has articulation. This leg absolutely jam-packed with nice moving panels and pieces. So when the waist unit is complete, this right here is what we get. Again, everything is absolutely as spectacular looking as before. The way that we have the mechanical details from underneath coming to this nice, absolutely spectacular armor. It is a letdown that the gold in the actual kit is not in a nice gold, so I do recommend kind of painting that. But overall, this is fantastic. These segments can pull out like that. The whole thing does move as well, so it won't get in the way of articulation. We do have opening little segments here as well, which open just like so to some detail inside. And overall, this is just a spectacular kit. Again, a little bit of a letdown is the fact that this right here is MS joint, as in the stuff that gave old kits early real grade syndrome. So this can get a little bit funny over time, as well as the little C-clips in here that are holding these on. They can strain because of the kind of rubbery plastic over time, so it's best not to move things too much with this particular aspect. But yeah, overall, beautiful. Inside of the waist unit, we do have independent sliding sections for both legs, which just attach on simply as so. A gold section attaches in, and then it all sandwiches together for the main body of the waist unit. So at this point, we do have to grab onto the B runner in here. This is the MS joint runner, aka the things that gave early real grade syndrome. Now this is not the worst because it is just for the side skirts to attach onto, but if anything's going to give you trouble inside of this kit eventually over time, it's going to be this, sadly. Anyway, this attaches into a little piece which locks it down into the waist section we had just built like this. Around back then you actually lock all this into position with this little piece right here. Now I will mention there is a bit of a hidden mod inside of the Sazabi Gundam. This little section actually stops you from getting some nice ab crunch in the waist. So in order to actually make sure you do get that in your finished kit, just nip off this little section right here. You get more forward movement at the torso. Why wouldn't you want that? Now it's time to start building up more of that beautiful ruby armor. 2 pieces snap together like so. A gold section pops on for a vent, and then you pop the armor over it. Again, painting your gold will make sure that gold pops nicely. More red underneath. Thankfully on this kit, the front skirting armors, even though they are absolutely beautiful, are very simple. Just 3 pieces each, also including a gold section. Next up then, we've got the butt flap. This kit has one of the most beautiful butt flaps around. In all of Gunpla, this might be one of the nicest, especially now in the ruby color. Basically a whole bunch of giant plates sandwiched together, add in some gold thrusters underneath, some more plates on top, then you build up these little flare out thruster sections. Once again, gold piece onto them. They attach onto the overall body of the butt flap like so, and then some armor attaches onto these. So these are some nice moving flaps. Next up, we've got the side skirtings, which are very, very detailed. We've got a sliding mechanism inside of both of them. Just set it up like so, and then you have to attach the armor on while holding everything in position. Then you do have a lower section which attaches onto that for a nice sliding gimmick, and you do have to attach these onto the waist in a weird sort of way. They go on sideways, and then you rotate them around. And it's easy to make them pop off, because these are some kind of awkward, old school, real grade style C-clip. So be careful with these, don't move them around too much. Then I slapped on the legs, and it looked a little bit like this right here. So next up in here we have the torso, which first off I'm going to mention, that way that paint on clear works is incredible. You're getting some really inky blacks and some really nice white highlights and red highlights too, but it does make it really hard to film. I've actually been pulling out like a sheet or a notepad every now and then just to try and diffuse the light a little bit so you can kind of see it a little bit more, because if I take that away, it's just black. Actually, it's not really doing a whole lot of anything, is it? I just turned off the light by accident. Anyway, again, this is a fantastic design that's quite simple. Again, I did paint the gold, so the gold won't look like this out of box. The detail inside of that ruby color is magnificent. When it came to this kit, these joints used to break. This doesn't seem to be an issue anymore. I didn't modify this kit at all, but this just feels super smooth and not as funky as it used to. So maybe they fixed something about it. Got some nice articulation like this. The whole torso section here, this is where the kind of ab crunch is at. That's interesting. The other one here is very limited, but we do have that one in the waist that you kind of mod in, which I forgot to mention. What that does is basically make the waist move like so. So that means you can actually tilt the upper body forward when it is attached. Anyway, starting off tiny with the chest, we've got 2 tiny little neck joints which attach into the upper clavicle section. This then pops down into a little bit of a joint section which kind of works as a little bit of a foundation for a lot of the torso. Next up, you need to build up the shoulder joints. Now these were awful for breaking in the original real grade Sazabi. I don't know if they've fixed them since, because they don't feel like an issue in this kit right here. They're very complex and they were a little bit tight inside the body, but as for my kit right here, no issues so far, and I didn't modify anything. Once the shoulder joints are attached, you pop the clavicle you just built down into that. Some black armor up from below, some more in from the sides. Time to grab that gold tube. Again, I did paint the tube, so this reflective gold is not out of box. Slap some red onto that, which does look beautiful in combination. We've got the big old cannon for inside of the chest, and now we get to layer on some of that beautiful ruby armor. This actual chest unit has so much going on inside of it, but it is quite simple. There isn't really that many steps to its build, but you get so much payoff. This might be one of, if not the most perfect gunplas out there. Slap the body onto the legs, and there we go, we're more than halfway through the build. Next up in here, we've got the arm and the shoulder. Now these don't actually connect, they use the peg of the actual shoulder of the torso to attach into these, so they don't actually attach here. We'll also mention I did try out one of the stickers and they are, well, for lack of a better word, shite. They're really not good. These didn't look too bad on the standard real grade because they were kind of against a fairly kind of flat surface already, but here it just mats it all out. It's kind of like what we would have seen before on, wait, what was it? A version of the Hakushiki, I think it might have been? Yeah, the one with the gold. No, the Akatsuki. Bet I need to stop doing this with real grades. But yeah, this is still a super nice shoulder. We've got this little bit of motion right here. We've got a sliding mechanism that I thought was a little harder to access, but it's very simple. Nice little bit of a slide that just lets the internals be seen there. I actually feel like if that was painted a nice shiny silver, that would work really well. These little flaps also move up like so, and overall absolutely beautiful, and same as we would have seen before, honestly, just that nice new color. The arms themselves are, for me, one of my favorite parts of the actual Sazabi design. They're just so kind of organic, at the same time being very mechanical. So we've got that double bend right here. We do have some beautiful pistons round back, which move nicely. This is one of my favorite parts, just the way it has been designed. Again, two-tone, very, scarlety here, very orangey red here. And overall, it just does work exceptionally nice. Just a great arm overall. First off, you start off with the shoulder on this kit, and that's just your usual kind of Gundam 3-piece shoulder joint. When it does come to the actual arm itself, this is one of the most intricate, detailed arms around, especially in small scale. First up, you build some pistons onto a section. The pistons go up inside of the upper section of the piston, a little bit of armor attaches on. The pistons lock in on both sides with a little bit of a sandwich bit of inner armor segment, which allows the piston to actually bend when the arm is bent. Next up, you slide some armor down from above, rotate it in, attach in the shoulder joint, lock that in with a little bit of armor from behind, and once again you do have to bring in a B-runner MS joint section. Now this isn't anywhere critical, so it's not really going to loosen too much up. It's in the forearm, attaches into a black section like so. It attaches then into some of the kind of gauntlet black armor. The upper arm and elbow joint we built previously attaches then on into this, and it all locks together again, sandwiched into that black gauntlet style armor. Some beautifully curved red armor attaches on, once again in two tones onto the back of the arm, a little bit up front. The hands are simple, they're just 2 pieces each. We've got a bit of a beam saber in the wrist section, and that is pretty much it for the arms themselves. When we jump on up to the shoulders, first off you do start off with one of those MS joint sections. Again, this is not necessarily the worst, it's not really a critical place to put it, but it's kind of weird that Bandai, even back then, still felt the need to kind of keep these involved in the kit. Anyway, you just bend that section into position, build up the first armor flap for the shoulder, that attaches on via a joint, then that joint attaches onto the MS joint section, and a bit of armor attaches in from above. We've got a secondary big armor plate that has some nice inner frame aspects, again 2 sandwiched pieces, and the way you build the armor on is very unique. You slide this cuff section down from above, and then the main body of the armor on top of that. So we do have a little bit of a sliding mechanism in here. From here, it's what kind of separates the left from the right arm. It's basically which one will actually have the vent to the front. Now, sometimes when I'm recording these things, it's, you get a bit hung up in the actual recording. You're not necessarily paying any attention to what you're doing. So I put the front section on the back and the back section on the front. So for a little while, that's what it's going to be like on the actual Sazabi. But once you actually slap the arms on, this is what it's like. But both vents should be to the front. Ignore that backwards piece for now. I'll change it around later. Next up is the head, and the head of a Sazabi has always been the bane of my existence, because no matter when I try to move it, this little head section always goes like this. So we do have a little bit of a gimmick which allows the kind of head to open so you can see into the mono eye section, but what can I say? Anytime I'm trying to move the kit, it's what moves on me. So no matter what version of Sazabi there is, I kind of have a hatred for that bit. But otherwise, this is absolutely beautiful. It catches the light the way we've been seeing so far. The sticker works incredibly well in here. I mean, like, if you block out the light, that's what it'd be like without a sticker. So it does catch it oh so well. We also have a little bit of a nice 2-point joint right here, so we do have a ball. No, it's a hinge up top and a hinge in the middle, even though once this is actually attached, you don't actually get too much movement out of the head. The head definitely has the teeniest parts of this build. You build up this little ball section out of 3 sections, then you attach in a tiny little clear part for the mono eye. We have a sticker for this in green, it does catch the light nicely, and of course you can paint the mono eye whatever color you want if you want to make it actually green. The visor is made up of 2 tiny little pieces, red and clear, pops onto the front. The main rear armor then attaches on from the top. A clear piece actually pops into this red front antenna bit, but I actually did it off camera because it's so small. You attach all the front of the head together. We've got a nice double C-clip to attach that on, and we've got a big old main camera / antenna kind of thing that pops onto the top of the head like this. This is absolutely incredible looking in these clear colors. It looked awesome already on these kits, but this brings it to the next level. Popping onto the kit, and it is almost complete. Just time for that backpack. Next up is one of the craziest aspects of the actual Sazabi real grade, and that is the backpack, mainly because of how beautiful and perfect the actual funnels in here are. So each of these is an individual piece, and each one of these does have transforming aspects. This opens up just like so you've got some nice technical detail inside, and you have to build each one of these with the opening little flap sections and whatnot. I'm not going to take them out, you're going to see them being built, and I don't really want to be finickying about with those, but otherwise it's just a super simple, beautiful, although complex at the same time backpack. We do have a moving thruster section back here, which is very, very nice. With the backpack, you start into full production line mode. You have to build 6 of the funnel units, and all of these have a lot of pieces each. The internal structure is 2 gray sections with a bit of a nice sliding mechanism, and then you have to attach on 4 little red armor panels to the outside, and then cuff them on from above with a cylindrical piece. You have to do that for all 6. It's not too difficult, thankfully, and well, the payoff compared to a lot of production line pieces in some gunpla is insanely good. Next up, you need to build the backpack canisters for housing these. Again, no attention to detail has been spared. You've got some nice detailed intersections. They pop a little bit of a joint for both of them. It's reversed for both sides. This attaches into the black body. We've got some detail for underneath in gray. 2 opening door sections attached to the upper part that slides into the lower part, and then you just pop the funnels into it. Absolutely fantastically and simply designed. Then you build the actual central backpack piece. You build a little thruster with a bit of a double C-clip joint. That then feeds through the actual main backpack section. You build the internal grey technical aspects of the backpack by attaching 2 pieces together, and then attach the part we just built on over it. A thruster unit then attaches onto that, a bit of black armor onto that, and then you have to take 2 of these black sections which actually attach in sideways and then rotate and click into place. Insane design. 2 giant fuel tanks need to be built. You pop them into the backpack as well as those funnel carrying canisters, and then it is done. Again, simple yet at the same time absolutely fantastic, and there's a lot of detail where there needs to be in those beautiful funnels. So when the rifle is complete, this right here is what you get. Now, the way the actual paint work down these pipes right here isn't so noticeable. Actually, this part looks a little bit on the dead side, whereas this part looks extremely shiny. So this is the painted side, so that's what that looks like, and that is the non-painted side. But then if the light catches it the right way, it seems to be quite bright. So it is noticeable though that it is half and half, but only if you look real close. Otherwise, it's the same as we've seen before, so that is the moving handle, so you can get it in the position you want it in, a removable magazine, which is always a nice little addition, and a little pump action section up front. Overall, a nice weapon. Oh, also the red is coming through from below right there, so we've got some painted, and there's the non-painted, so the painted does look a little bit better. Anyway, you slap this inside of 2 halves of a rifle with some handle, then the barrel pops on, the pump action bit as well as the magazine. The beam tomahawk attaches together very simply. It's just the central handle section once again. Also has it sprayed on one side and on the other effect. 2 black sections attach onto the side. Be careful, this is a very brittle plastic. And then you attach on 1 red cylindrical part into the top. Next up then is the shield. It's probably the most detailed out of the accessories, but at the same time, it's very simple. You attach the joint onto the underside like so. Gold goes onto the front, followed by the black armored section. You build up a joint, attach that onto the back, and attach those little missile sections down bottom. That's it. Simple, but the payoff is astounding. But yeah, that right there brings us to the end of the build, and that is what we got. One phenomenal looking Gundam kit. This might just be the most beautiful 1/44th scale kit I have ever seen. If you're going out there just for looks, this is one of those kits you need with your Master Grade EX Strike Freedom Gundam. They're just over the top looking kits and look like nothing else. Now, I'm not going to actually review this kit because I have reviewed the real grade Sazabi before, so if you want to know the ins and outs about it, you can check out my older review of that. I also have another review of it as well, which was the version with the big old lobster claw cannons. Now, this was the kit that defined Gundarium tier. Before that, there was only bronze, silver, gold. That was it. It was just a simple kind of ranking system. But this just broke everything. It broke the mold, it broke the system, so I needed something new. This was the original Gundarium tier kit. So I was wondering, in 2025, does it still hold up with that exact same level of fantasticness? And the answer is, it 100% does. Now, it wouldn't get ranked X Gundarium tier, it would get ranked X Platinum tier. I haven't really gone through the ins and outs of everything about it to actually kind of break it down with the new system, but here is a bit of an example if you just kind of wanted a general idea of what it might be like. Everything is off the charts awesome. Aesthetically, the standard real grade Sazabi is phenomenal looking and looks great. It does everything a Gundam needs to do and beyond. However, well, by the way, the big old chart up there, that's for the standard Sazabi. As for this one right here, I would feel like this thing's aesthetics has gone even beyond that, so it's hard to really say. It looks so good. Articulation-wise, this kit is phenomenal. It's so much fun to pose. No matter what pose you put it in, it looks good. When it actually comes to, let's say, antagonist suits or the non-Gundam faction suits in the various Gundam universes, this one might still be the best. It does everything perfectly. The proportions are amazing. The size is fantastic. It's just been so perfectly designed, and I feel like it is the most iconic of the non-Gundam side of things suits. And the fact that this has great articulation out of the box means it just looks great all of the time, every time. Accessories wise, there is no complaints at all. I do wonder if this would be a 4 out of 5 nowadays as opposed to a 5 out of 5, because is there anything too spectacular or not spectacular? Hell, I would give it the 5 out of 5. Everything works perfect, looks great. The beam shotgun is absolutely fantastic looking. It can deal with all of its accessories very, very well, and we've got those cool blacklight reactive effect parts in here. Overall, everything works well, and those funnels are astounding. But as you can see from that little ranking right there, the only thing I would rank it down on nowadays would be the build. I do feel the actual MS joint sections that are actually inside this kit do bring it down a lot. Not too much, thankfully, but it does bring it down quite a bit. You will find over time you're going to be having some issues with the front and side skirtings because of the way they attach onto those rubbery joints. Either they'll start falling off or kind of moving outwards on you, or just in general getting a bit funny. The same goes for the shoulders. They can be a little bit awkward, and just due to the kind of design, the head, even though it doesn't have an MS joint, just no matter where you actually touch it, you're gonna fuck something up. So you're just trying to pose it, and like the visor will move or something will pull out of place. So there is some awkward little elements like that, but overall still absolutely perfect kit in 2025, and this is just the most beautiful version. But yeah, that right there is it for the video. If you want one of these of your own, I got it through Buy. It was a Gundam base exclusive, and as far as kind of expensive-ish kits go, I'll pop the price up on the screen as well as the price that I did end up paying for it. This one actually does feel worth it as a very unique over-the-top kit, but of course, something like that is always up to yourself. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more Gundam videos, and I'll see you next time. As always, all these videos on here would not be possible without each and every one of you guys watching these videos, so thank you so much. And special thanks to those of you who are helping out over on the Patreon, as well as on the channel members, including Abraxas, Caleb Engelhart, Joe or G, 59061, Scotty Thomas, Simon, and Van Fawn.